So I want you guys to consider, how do you use swag in a smart way to drive more referrals?
Yes.
So you could be a real estate agent, you could be doing e-commerce, selling health supplements, you could be an agency, you could be whatever kind of service provider.
Yeah.
But the things that you do at every stage of the client relationship mean everything, especially in the very beginning, because in the first few days, you're making that first impression, right? This is when people are deciding, like, did I make a good choice? And, you know, are they good? Are they responding? Did they just take my money? How long is this going to take, right? It's that steady communication in the first few days is so key. Been here for 2 days here in Atlanta, about to go to the airport.
Yeah.
45 minutes or so, flight's at 8 something. It's like an hour away. We're in Marietta, Georgia, which is, I thought was near downtown, but it's not really.
It's 30 minutes, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the airport's like another 20 minutes from downtown.
50 minutes from the airport.
Okay, so while we are waiting, Ibrahim Awad is the brother of Ali Awad.
Yes.
And we first met, must have been 5, 6 years ago.
I feel it was 2019.
That's 5 or 6 years ago.
Yes.
Yeah, because he held his first CEO mastermind
Yes.
at the college.
Correct.
And I spoke there, and we even hung out. Wait, when was COVID?
2020.
Yeah, that's right. So we were hanging out doing stuff. And then all this COVID stuff happened.
Yes.
And we got on the Clubhouse, and his brother Ali and I spent a lot of time in Clubhouse.
Yeah.
And I think we got him to a lot of followers, because I would have these rooms, and like Grant Cardone would come in, or other, and then we just like balloon up to thousands of people inside these rooms, right?
Yes.
And whenever that would happen, I would see Ali would jump in, or I'd text him saying, hey, you know, Grant Cardone just joined my room, and all of a sudden it like ballooned up to 2,500 people.
Yes.
Come join, because it's my room, so I can decide who's, you know, obviously it's like Grant comes in and these other, I'm going to let them speak, because who wouldn't, right?
Of course.
But then I would find a way to weave in Ali, and Ali, unlike, they're both Awads, and they're both in Atlanta, and they both run personal injury attorney firms, which is kind of confusing.
And we're both black belts, and we both grew up in the same place, in the same bedroom.
And speak multiple languages.
Yes. So of course people get us confused.
But he was so good with social media that he grew millions of followers and was the first, I guess, lawyer to use social media, become an 8-figure firm, he says, something like that.
Very successful on social media.
Yeah. In all sorts of different ways. Big conference, right? And started all these other sorts of companies. But I met Ibrahim there at these other events.
Yes.
And I was wondering, like, who is this karate lawyer guy?
Yeah, karate attorney.
Yeah.
Yes.
And see, he's got karate attorney as his handle.
Yeah.
So long story short, we've been working together on piecing together the items of his personal brand, which he has a ton of stuff.
Yeah.
Tons of videos and photos, and he's paid a lot of money to have professional videographers. He has this product, the Justice Camera,
Yes.
which he's doing basically at cost, because then when you turn it on, it says Justice Camera, which is great branding. Love it, right? It's like,
Sponsored by the Awad Law Firm.
yeah, it's like having your name on the side of their car, basically, for free. The advertising, I love it.
Yes.
Awesome. Yep.
Oh man, I wish you got probably a better box.
And
You could give me a.
he's involved
better
in
box.
the local mosques.
Yes.
He's involved in Dalton State College.
Yeah.
He donates and participates in a lot. Okay, let's look at some of these
unbox
products
this
here.
together.
Okay, let's first look at the Justice Camera.
All right. So.
And I want you guys to think about how you can extend your personal brand through gifting, through relationships.
Okay. All right. So
That's this and this one.
that's
here.
the camera, right? Now this one's a little bit beat up, but this is the box. Okay. And yeah, so here it says sponsored by the Awad Law Firm. Yeah, maybe we can show you.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, here we go. All right. So you shall open it.
The packaging looks cheap, but we're going to fix
We're
that.
going to fix that. Yes. All right.
Sticker.
So when you open it, you see a Justice Camera sticker, right? Here you go. And it comes with a micro SD card, which, as I learned more and more about dash cameras, like this is an integral part. Like the cheapest way to go, the first thing to break is the SD card, right? And so you need to have this one's like a high endurance SD card that can.
That's 32 gigs. You should upgrade now to like 256. You can get those for $25
Yeah,
now.
but the problem is the camera doesn't support.
Oh, okay. It just loops?
Yeah,
Okay.
it just loops. And so, again, packaging, but see the camera. It says Justice camera here,
Yeah.
as you can see, and it's a 4-inch LCD touchscreen display. And it's cool. Like when you open it, it will say sponsored by the Awad Law Firm. And actually, when it's recording, the entire time the person's driving, it'll say on the bottom, sponsored by the Awad Law Firm, right? The whole time. And then when you close it, it'll say, you know, officially sponsored by the Awad Law Firm, something like that. But yeah, so it's just like many dash cameras, you plug this up to your cigarette lighter and it will record, right? So as soon as you turn your car on, boom, it's recording.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he sends that out to all the clients. Hundreds of people are now driving out these dash cams.
Exactly. And actually last year was our very first time where one of our previous clients got in another subsequent wreck and caught the entire accident on our Justice camera.
How awesome is that?
Like full circle.
And what kind of impact is that when you have the video evidence versus like whatever he or she said?
Man, well, video evidence, if you have it, is one of the biggest value drivers in an injury case because, you know, a lot of people, they get rear-ended, right? I got rear-ended in October of 2023, and you look at the car, you're like, come on, man, are you really hurt, right? But I have the Justice camera in my car, right? And even though it didn't capture the guy behind me, you heard the impact. And you heard, my sister was with me. She screamed.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And that has a whole different impact, no pun intended, effect on the adjuster.
And you can see the jostling too when you get
Yeah. Like, oh my God. Yeah. Like that's exactly what happened. I put it on my Instagram. Right. And so that shows like you're not faking it, you're not exaggerating.
Yeah.
And like in the future, you're not malingering, making things up. So yeah, it had a huge impact.
Is there anything factually or research that shows that dash cams get X% more in settlements?
My data, you know, my data, like that's one of the things that we make sure to pinpoint. Okay, I don't know what that is. Okay. Oh, that's kind of how what we, so, okay. So it'll go out like in this bag, you know, to clients, but this is a little bit better box, but that's how it would look like. Right. So so this is one of the things that we also send out. It's like a duffel bag, a karate attorney duffel. We have all kinds of stuff that we get out, like swag. Yeah. You know,
That's nice. Look at this, folks. Swag it up.
so for martial arts, because, you know, karate attorney, we give out to many martial arts studios these duffel bags and we tell them, give them to your best students. Right. So actually one guy mentioned it, but yeah, like for sparring gear, right? You put your sparring gear here and it says, you know, karate attorney, obviously. Yeah. You know, so
attorneys give out backpacks, so back to school, you know, lunch pails and pencils. That's cool.
So yeah, so back to your question, you know, the data shows that when you have video evidence, like, well, I have a case I can show you a case where it wasn't a dash camera. It was just a parking lot camera that captured a person going into a parking lot. It's in a parking lot. Like they're not going too fast, but they were just on their phone, right? They weren't paying attention. And the lady and her son, 2-year-old son, were walking with a stroller and he hit them. Now, it wasn't like crazy impact or anything, but because it was on video, it was like, oh my God, how did you not see that person?
Yeah.
And they had bumps and bruises, but not like, God forbid, catastrophic injuries. Right. $100,000 per person.
Wow.
Was the recovery. I did not negotiate with them, nothing. They just sent the checks.
But if there's no video, it wouldn't happen.
No way. It's impossible. Impossible. And yeah, I have that case study and I share that case study when I'm teaching, you know, about the importance of these types of video evidence. Yeah.
He's got the Awad Academy, so he's teaching lawyers. That's how you know someone's good, when they're teaching the other industry professionals.
It's, you know, what goes around comes around. So like, you teach a few things and you find other people come in and they show you a few other things and you're like, oh, this is how it fits in this big picture.
So I want you guys to consider, how do you use swag in a smart way to drive more referrals?
Yes.
So you could be a real estate agent, you could be doing e-commerce, selling health supplements, you could be an agency, you could be whatever kind of service provider.
Yeah.
But the things that you do at every stage of the client relationship mean everything, especially in the very beginning, because in the first few days, you're making that first impression, right? This is when people are deciding, like, did I make a good choice? And, are they good? Are they responding? Did they just take my money? How long is this going to take? Right? It's that steady communication in the first few days is so key. So he has.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Yeah. Tell him about this.
So of course, the buyer's remorse is biggest after the buy, right? And the bigger the buy, the bigger the remorse, right? And so, when hiring a personal injury attorney, like myself, people are wondering, like, did I make a good choice? Like, there's so many personal injury attorneys out there, like they're testing us to see if we're actually good. Are we going to communicate? Do we care? So we send out this client care package, actually not only to every client, but to every person that calls us.
Oh, wow.
Right? So whether or not we've actually signed them up, doesn't matter, because we want them to know that, thank you for trusting us enough to call us.
Well, they're serious enough also to give you your money or their contact information.
Yeah, they give us their contact information. So we send them this box. So yeah, this is the box here, Awad Law Firm. It says super lawyers and it says, oh, stay connected with us. It says, oh, scan this QR code so that you can follow us on social media. Oh, and it says, oh yeah, we're a proud sponsor of Justice Camera, right? You can get your own Justice Camera, which is a dash camera, on justicecamera.com. Use discount code Karate Attorney, which was my handle on social media. And so they can open the box, and we're going to work on ways to beautify this even further. Okay. We were thinking of having like something play here that says, oh, this is a special mug. And inside there's a mug. And this is one of those mugs that when you pour any type of hot liquid in it, it will change colors and it actually shows our logo.
Yeah.
Right. And then this is an incomplete box, but it has some tea in there and it also has BioFreeze. Right?
Oh, okay.
So, BioFreeze, like your muscles are sore and you could rub. So we're trying to associate that feel-good sensation with the firm, right? Having a cup of tea, you're feeling good.
And it says on the front, we hope you're feeling better.
Yeah, it says,
Touch.
Thank you for trusting us, right? So, yeah, we're thinking of ways to make that client experience better and to alleviate that potential remorse. Like, we're expecting it on every single case and we're like, you made a good choice and we're here for you. So that's just one of the ways.
Smart.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we were just talking earlier about the impact of having nice packaging.
Yes.
Apple products, or
Yes.
we were looking at Dollar Shave Club. One of my favorite things, which I want to show you, is we have a sock company that does almost 8 figures. And let me see, we've sent out thousands. And during COVID, things really blew up. One of the things we do also kind of like your onboarding is, we have video socks and blitz gifts and other things. And we have a ton of examples when people like, Daryl Isaacs. So look at what he has to say.
Hey, Dennis, love the socks, love the note. Yes, I can't wait to get the hammer on digital marketing. I'm doing a video because I know you'd want me to record my own. Can't wait to see you in Vegas.
And then there's other people that are making that. We have hundreds of these.
What's it like to get a smile on your face on a Friday when your partner, mentor, friend sends you a pillowcase with your faces on?
We have all kinds of things. So this is Amanda Holmes, who's Chet Holmes' daughter. He's the Dream 100 ultimate sales machine.
A week later, I get in the mail these socks with my face, like all over it, just repeatedly all over it. I couldn't believe that I had gotten these socks. They were hysterical. I've only worn them once in public, and everyone scored me for it because it's just weird to have your face on socks.
And we have tons of examples. So when you do that, people love to show how cool it is because they just don't see stuff like this. And when these people are well known in an industry, like this girl, she runs social media marketing at Snapchat. So now she's showing this, that's kind of a cool thing. So then all the people, you know, we just have tons and tons of examples of people that do this, and it's part of our automatic onboarding. So if anyone buys a course, or we visit with people, or we get their address, or like, they'll get a note. And it's funny because I often won't remember who you know, the conference organizer or this client, or like what, I just won't remember all these different people. And someone will text me and they'll say, Dennis, thank you. That was so thoughtful. That was the best gift I've ever gotten. And I'm thinking like, oh, yeah, thank you. That's appreciate.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, of course.
Yeah.
My pleasure. Yeah.
And you would not believe that the impact that this has. So I think we did one with Larry Kim or with other folks so there's lots of socks. Where are the gift socks? Tons of people they'll have ones where the ones with the gift sock. Anyway, you see the idea, the point, right?
Yeah, no, this is unreasonable hospitality 101, right?
It's unexpected.
Yeah.
More than that.
No,
right?
it's giving people more than they expect,
Yeah.
right? There's a book by that, Unreasonable Hospitality.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Will Goodera.
Yeah. Yeah. Giftology or things like
It's
that.
giving
Yeah.
people more than they expect. And so the idea is, it's like, oh yeah, you got the book.
Oh yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what he talks about. Yeah, like,
Yeah.
you know, they have a certain expectation. You're exceeding that expectation, and for seemingly nothing in return. And that's the remarkable power of giving people more than what they expect. So it works like a charm.
Yeah.
You know. And when you said you wouldn't believe, I'm like, yeah, I would. I would, because that's the beauty of it.
So the last couple of days, we've been looking at all the things, all the relationships, all the content, all the experiences that Ibrahim has, some of these huge settlements, some of these great stories. And the common theme, which is valid and relevant for you, is how can I leverage the trust of other clients, people in my community, so they do the marketing for me.
Mm-hmm.
The last thing you want is to be a sycophant, chest beating, narcissistic, look at me, my name's on the billboard, I'm the famous person, I'm so good. How, not theoretically, but practically, how can you leverage your customers in an ethical way to do your marketing for you? And I think the best way is you elevate them.
Absolutely.
So I just interviewed
them.
Yeah.
You just give.
And if you have a good business and you do good work and you know how to have good customers instead of bad customers, then it's a joy to do this. And I find that people, I don't know, maybe they're so inundated with all the AI this and marketing tech that and programming that they think it's a technical thing, when what I love to show is like literally off of my photo stream here, not socks, but just like stuff that's happening. You know, like yesterday I was in Vegas and I took a random picture. No, that's not even a good example. I'm literally, showing what's going on. So this is David and John Fox, and they were in our video studio, and I'm honoring them. I'm turning these things into posts. And someone got their socks a couple days ago.
Yeah.
So this guy's a basketball influencer, and he tagged me. So guess what happens when someone gets that gift or whatever it is, and they share that? All of a sudden, they've become an advertisement that is more powerful than any ad you could ever run.
Well, let me just tell you a few things that you know intuitively and that Will Guidara talks about. The important thing about gifting is that it doesn't say your name on the gift.
Right.
Right. So this is a gift just showcasing that person's face.
Mm-hmm.
It's people are smart. Like we were talking about, earlier. It's like if you gift them a hoodie that has your logo, it's like, what's obvious? It's obvious. Like, what are you doing? Like, no, I'm not going to wear that. In fact, Mark Cuban says, you will never see me wear another company's name on my shirt. I will never do that. I'm never going to be your billboard. Right. And so people understand that what a gift truly is. Yeah. Right. A gift is one where it has that person's logo and that person's name. It's like that.
You're honoring them.
Yeah.
It's having them on your podcast, talking about them and their story and how they just ran a 5K and how their daughter graduated college and how. So I have tons and tons of examples. This guy's a $3 billion hedge fund guy. And I'm honoring him. We met at a mastermind and had a good time. We had a lot of mutual friends, and he was building a new house. So he's like moving in, and we did a podcast together. And I was asking him, look, how did you start out?
Yeah.
How did you initially start your first fund and attract investors? And then he's got a list of all these other companies that he's an investor in, which is crazy, right? Like, how do you work with such and such company? They're a multi-billion dollar company, and you bought into them and negotiated their sale. And how do you do that, right? And so I'm asking him all these questions, elevating him. Of course, I did the research beforehand so I can ask intelligent questions.
Yes.
And not once did I ever ask him a question about digital marketing or about SEO or about it at all. And somewhere in the middle of this conversation, when this thing eventually gets published, he starts talking about me because of mutual relationships. And we're friends with Sean Kelly, and he first came to Vegas. He spoke at this conference, which we were both at, and this and that. And then he started asking me questions, and now all of a sudden the podcast flipped, right? And it wasn't even intentional. And like you were saying earlier, not in this, but then I interviewed him previously. The vibe is so important because we know that's like the words are only 7% of the communication. 93% is the vibe, the subconscious, the body language, the way you say it, all that. And so when people see that, when you ask it the right way and they say something that it's very offhand, you can tell like it wasn't a pre-planned thing. It's like, dude, I am so glad that we're working together because you showed me this and that, and we have these friends. Like that's better than any testimonial. I have a whole article and video about why you should never gather testimonials. Because a testimonial is an obvious like, I'm going to force you to say, oh, working with the Awad law firm was so good. I got a lot of money. They're good to work with. I would recommend them. No, but but the vibe is wrong, even though they technically said the words you wanted them to say, right? So I think the gifting and other things to honor them, and I'm not saying you give them a gift, but that the gift is a representation of the fact that you care. So you see this. Can you guys see this screen? I don't know if I shared this here. No, I didn't share it. Here, let me just share this so you can see this. Oh, I was sharing this whole time. You didn't see this. Okay. Yeah, like this. So there are so many. I bet you guys all have this on your phone. And all these, like, how do you honor these other people? So I was with Helen Yu. Her last name is Yu, but no relation. It's a common name. And here I'm asking her, now she advises Silicon Valley CEOs on strategy. She's one of the best known. Like her, Charlene Lee, Jeremiah Owyang, Robert Scope. I know all of them. We're all friends with each other. But how is it that these billion-dollar companies go to her for strategy? It's because all the other ones already go to her for strategy. So why wouldn't you go to her? And I basically asked her in a nice way, how did you become this person, right? Because you're introverted. You're not one of those. I mean, English is not her first language. It's not that she's not well educated and all that, but how did she do that? And so she goes on and on and says how she does it. But along the way, and I never asked for it, she throws this stunning endorsement about me in the middle of this thing here. And it said, and she said, blah, 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 blah. And by the way, if it wasn't for you, then these other things wouldn't have happened. And so awesome, we're in the same mastermind. And I said, yeah, it's so cool. When you just got your new house up on the hill in Henderson. By the way, the higher up you live in Henderson, like the more wealthy you are. So she lives like at the top in this new house, which is incredible, this house. I should have taken a video tour of like her house. You can look down on the whole strip and all that. But there's all these moments of us hanging out. And then because I was there with her, this was just a week ago at CES, she introduced me to the CEO of the India Autonomous Vehicle Association, which is the association that's all the like self-driving cars and the Ford and Honda and like the government, like that whole, like there are all that research they're doing. And I interviewed this guy on the spot there. So right then they were piloting all these Indy cars that were self-driving and they were competing and the universities were involved and all that kind of stuff. And it's just so cool. Like asking like how fast these cars go. And if they're going 200 miles per hour, how did they like not crash? And how do he's like explaining the technology and the sensors and like, that's so cool. And I'm sure this guy's thinking, if I was just some random guy, he would not give me the time of day. But because Helen, when I got there and I saw Helen, who invited me to this private VIP, like media only kind of event, she said, Dennis, you need to meet the CEO of this whole thing. I'm like, oh, no. I don't want to like bother this guy. He's like got this whole thing going on. It's like, no. I'm going to text him. and texts him and says, come over now, come over now. You need to meet Dennis Yu. He's a big technology influencer. I'm like, oh no, now she's setting me up for this whole thing. So he comes over, the head of marketing and PR comes over. Obviously that person's following this guy around because he's doing TV interviews and this sort of thing. So I'm like the next media interview. And it was fantastic. I posted some stories on my social media featuring what the new things that they're doing, which are crazy with all the self-driving and whatever.
Yeah.
And then they retweeted me and then reshared my Instagram story and all that kind of stuff.
And I can't pay for that type of exposure.
I never asked for that.
Yeah.
It just came to me.
Yeah.
I wasn't saying like, Helen, can you introduce me to everyone in your network who's valuable?
Yeah.
And you know, the funny thing was like a few months ago, she had some trouble with some video files.
Yes.
So I said, you know what, just send it to our guys. And our guys will fix the thing. Because she interviewed the CEO of some big company and they, like the video file got corrupted. So our guys were able to fix it, right?
Yeah.
And so she was so grateful. And it's not like a tit for tat thing, but I'm pretty sure like over the course of the last few years, like we've done a couple nice things here and there. We never asked for anything.
Yeah. Sure.
And it came back. She said, hey, I'm invited to this event. Would you like to come? They have all this nice food because she knows I love food. So, okay, they have all this stuff. Would you like to come? It's at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. I'm like, that sounds so cool.
Yeah.
So then that's how that came about.
Yeah, one of the I'm actually on my review page for the Awad law firm, and one of the reviews that I can show you. Yeah, let's see if I can show it here. So this lady, we resolved her case, and at the end of the case, you know, we send her settlement check, but also it has like a whole bunch of swag and stuff. So she actually goes onto Google, takes pictures of the hat that she got, the Justice camera that she got. She actually got a fan, you know, an Awad law firm fan.
That's awesome.
Right? And she posts it as part of the Google review, right? So that just gives it tremendous credibility because, you know, people think 5-star Google reviews. I got one guy, it's hilarious. I wish I could find it quickly, but one guy, we gave him a 6-figure check, like to him.
Yeah.
Like the settlement was larger than that.
Yeah.
And in his review, you know what he says?
What?
He says, thank you to Ibrahim Awad, you know, for sending me a happy birthday card.
That's quite a happy birthday card.
No, here's the thing though. It was his birthday, right? So we sent him a happy birthday card.
Yeah.
But I was talking to my wife and she said, and I told her, look, this guy got over a 6-figure, right?
Yeah.
Check.
Yeah.
Right? You know, not taxable, nothing. He makes no mention
Yeah.
of the check.
Uh-huh.
But what he mentioned in the review was that we also sent him a happy birthday card. And I was telling my wife, isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
He said, it was your job to get him that settlement
I
check.
expect that.
It wasn't your job to send him a happy birthday card. And I'm like, Daniel, you got it.
Because it was the unexpected
Exactly.
happiness. What you're
And so
yeah.
look at how little the unexpected thing could be.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And that's another John Rulin thing, you know,
Yeah.
those people that
Apology, yeah.
yeah, so they talk about
Passed
like
away recently.
yeah, I know. The gift, you got to think outside the box. You know, like I don't know if you have pets, right? But get a gift for your dog if you had a dog. Like that is the extra step, not just for you. Like maybe, you know, if you're married, something for your spouse. Get something for her, right? And then, I mean, your spouse will become my #1 ambassador.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you know.
So we have one of our companies does 7 figures in pet socks.
Oh yeah,
So
hilarious.
I'll show you something that you might think is not possible but is very replicable. Okay. So pet party. So this is UGC taken to the max. Watch this. If this is not like demonstration of how this works. So your pet on sock.
Mhm.
Now, of course, people will do that for their dog or cat because it's like a child basically. But when you do it for a friend or a client or a colleague, when you do it for their pet
Yeah.
versus them,
No.
or you do it for their wife versus them, it hits better.
100%.
Right?
That's the
So-
whole idea.
The content we have here is all UGC. And we gave a presentation at Brennan, who's the founder behind all this. We've taken so much UGC that we have boosted this for $1 a day. Now, what happens with Meta, which is Facebook and Instagram and whatnot, is that if you, what are these ones called? These are the popular ones. This, what is this kind of,
Pug?
it's, you guys know what this is called? let's just say it's a pug, okay?
Yeah.
I know it's like a miniature bulldog. What are they? This
French
is a
bulldog, maybe?
Frenchie. Yeah, the
Okay,
Frenchies, right? So
Yeah, French bulldog.
what happens, Ibrahim, when this person who has a French bulldog
Yeah.
posts French bulldog photos on their Instagram or Facebook, and we put it out there organically, or we boost it? What does the algorithm try to do?
Sending out to people that like dogs.
That like French bulldogs.
French bulldogs,
Yeah.
yeah.
So we don't even have to target French bulldogs
Right.
because the algorithm now increasingly is based on what's in there. And then even if it didn't know that that was a video or picture of French bulldogs, the people that are most likely to engage on it are going to be lovers of French bulldogs. So then the algorithm's like, oh, well, sounds like people who look at this also like, just like Amazon, the recommendation engine, right? And so the entire sales, like Huskies or whatever these are, right?
Husky.
It's just driving more and more the same thing. And we have a library, I could probably open up in the ads account, of thousands of these ads that are all micro boosted. And each one, it's not like we have the one winning ad. Is that each of these ads is, we're letting the algorithm go find that particular audience, right? And there's so many just cute moments. And people are just, because they can relate to like the way, that my dog also, oh, I was trying to like type and the cat got on the keyboard and started, like all these things, which is great. And nowhere did you have to talk about the company.
Sure.
Right. So that helps, that helps selling these products, just like the dash cam, just this camera, but it also helps because we are gifting. And so we integrate this with all the things that we do. We do the mitts, we can do the pillows, like you can see, like all this kind of stuff, right? So my favorite thing to do is that every time we interview somebody, I think I've ruined it for you, but every time we interview someone, a week later, they get something like this in the mail, and then think about how they feel about that experience, and they remember that for years.
Yeah. No, it's no good deed goes unrewarded.
Yeah.
Right? It's gonna come back. It's a come back in a beautiful way. But it's a cheat code that it always works.
Yeah.
It always works.
Even though they know that's what you're doing.
And I know that's what they're doing.
Yeah.
Right? Like I remember the first time I got my Cutco gift set.
Yeah.
Right. And it said exclusively handcrafted for Ibrahim and Rowan.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, bro,
Yeah.
I'm gonna pay you a bunch of money now. And I know it, and I know what you did to me, but
You know it, but even still it works.
it does.
Yeah.
It does.
Like caffeine, you know what it does, but it still works.
Yeah. Yeah. But that's what I'd like to brainstorm a little bit more on is how do I make sure that I enhance the experience of the client so that, and that's what happened actually. I remember I told you that we send out these client care packages to every caller, right? So we had one guy, he's a friend of mine, right? Ultimately called me up. He got in a car wreck. His wife got in a car wreck. And we send the client care package. The guy didn't end up hiring, right? He got the client care package. And once he got the client care package, he said, you killed me with this, right? He said, you killed me with this. What he was referring to is that I didn't hire you and yet you sent this to me.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Now he's feeling guilty.
Yeah, he felt guilty.
Yeah.
And he's like, I just have to explain to you what happened. My wife's family knew a lawyer. I really wanted to go with you, but it wasn't in my hands because they had already talked to him. I'm really sorry about this. Right? I'm like, bro, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's no problem.
Yeah.
But look at like the guilt that he felt.
Yeah.
And then 2 months later, he said, it was a bad case. It was like a broken back, right? But the person that was at fault only had $25,000 in coverage, right? And so he said, hey, Ibrahim, listen, can I still hire you to review the other lawyer's work? I'll pay you, right? I just want to make sure. And the guy ended up paying me for an hour of my time, right? Because of this.
Yeah. What's the ROI on that?
Right?
Just
because of this. He paid me $500,
Yeah.
right? Just so, and I'm like, you don't really need to pay me. He's like, no, please, I gotta pay you, right? And he wrote me a check for $500 just so I can tell him the same exact thing the other attorney said. But he felt that would be how he would clear his conscience.
Because he stored that guilt, that debt he had to pay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's why we started sending it to all of our people, everybody that calls. Yeah, cost us what? $7.
Worth it.
Who cares?
Yeah.
Yeah. And we also have these magnets that we have in there that they can put on their fridges. Now, most fridges are stainless steel, so it's not magnetic, but even the side of the fridge still works, you know? So we send these magnets that have a calendar, right? So a 2025 calendar, right? So it's a Awad law firm, and it'll say, got hit, we hit back legally, karate attorney, right? So they like it. And so people call me up like, and they say, hey, I still got your magnet on my calendar from 2021. I'm like, wow.
It's time for the 2025.
Yeah. So that's something that I learned from a book called It'll Come to Me. It's
We could ask
yeah,
ChatGPT.
it's another PI attorney that wrote this book. But it's the idea is when you have a reminder for the person, like a magnet on their fridge, right? And you do a good job, that's the person that they're going to come back to. So just give them something. But yeah, that's another thing that goes into our client care packages: some BioFreeze, some tea, that mug, and that magnet. Yeah.
A lot of people, I think, are looking at gifting as a cheat code, and certainly it's powerful, but I believe it only works to magnify the existing reputation that you have. So if you're already doing a good job, you already are known among a client base, you're known among other peers, then this is a magnifier. I think of gifting as just like ads. And what we teach in this content factory process is just that. The idea that you have good things that people know about here in this first box, where it's on these Google Drives and Dropboxes and letters that grandma sent her. There's proof of who you are. There's fingerprints, evidence of your operations that can be processed and shared. Just like the review, the guy, the happy birthday, that shows up, right? It's like a lie. Google and TikTok and YouTube is a lie detector. Is trying to see, and when this produced is not doesn't mean digitally produced. It means that something actually happened, right? And if it happened, and we can process it or skip processing and just go directly to making it visible to, LinkedIn and Twitter, like all of them, we post the content everywhere. Then we can say thank you, and we created a whole guide on how do you say thank you and all my favorite ways to say thank you. Probably my favorite one is taking their face and putting it on a sticker and then putting that on a dollar bill. So it covers the George Washington and it has their face on it. We've done thousands of these. Every time I go to a conference, we'll print up ones for the other speakers and the organizer, and they love it. It's absolutely fantastic. They'll never throw it away. It's the cheapest investment, creates jobs physically in the US for people that are arts and crafts out these little stickers and putting them on the dollar bill.
Yeah.
And I think that most people neglect this component of saying thank you, where it's the equivalent of ads. Because, podcasting and ads and saying thank you and gifts, and those are all really just extensions. They're amplifications of the fact that you do good things. It's like multiplying the karmic feedback.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, you saw me, what I was doing when you came in here yesterday. I was signing happy birthday cards.
Yeah.
Right. And we send out happy birthday cards to not only existing clients, but past clients. So the stack only keeps increasing, every week. We send out these happy birthday cards, and, we have gotten calls where the person reaches out to me and he said, hey, just want to let you know, man, you were the only card that I got for my birthday.
Oh, I didn't remember that.
Yeah. You're the only card that I got. I really appreciate you for that, man. I really appreciate you. We've sent happy birthday cards out to parents who've lost their kids in a car crash. Right? And they're like, that's huge.
How do you say happy birthday in that situation?
This is to memorialize it. She would have been 19 years old. Right? So, and they remember that. And they're like, you keep remembering. And we really appreciate for keeping her spirit and, identity and name alive.
Yeah.
And so you try to find the silver lining. People respect that. I've been to the funerals of my, clients who've lost loved ones, and we care about them and we cry and grieve with them.
Yeah.
So, and people know, man. Like, people know if you're being sleazy and slimy. They can feel it right away. Yeah. So, makes me emotional, but it's true. It's real.
Yeah. Every business that we're in, it doesn't matter if you're doing mortgages or car wrecks or whatever. It's all a people business.
Sure.
and people are making decisions based on other people. It's weird because we'll sell B2B services or we'll advise other agencies that are selling $1 million deals to huge companies. Yet ultimately, the deal is based on the relationships and like the thank you card, or where you rude them in the Zoom, or they perceived rudeness or something like that. It's amazing. People are, I don't want to say like they're super sensitive, but these things really, the little things really matter a lot. They're
I'll
great.
tell you, I asked my dad, and just a context of my dad was born in a refugee camp, and he describes it as an all-star hotel, right? Because when he'd look up, he'd see all the stars, right? That's the type of person.
All-star, I love
Yeah,
that.
all-star hotel, right? I'm very optimistic. He looks at the world just through that lens, and difficulty is an opportunity for getting something significant accomplished, right? And so, I asked him, what's one of the biggest regrets, one of the biggest mistakes you have? And he said, a long time ago, there was a doctor that wanted to work with me on this project. And I just didn't feel like I was going to be a good fit for him. And, the product didn't seem like a good fit, but I should have partnered up with him. I said, what? He said, even though I wasn't sure about the product, I was sure about the person.
And that's
I
the
was
key.
sure about the
The
person.
person.
And he said, if you ever have a dilemma between the person and the product, for example, you look at option A, and here the product is phenomenal, but the person is so-so, and here you have a person that's phenomenal, and the product is so-so, go with the phenomenal person.
Yeah.
Because it's easier to change products than people.
Oh, I never looked at it that way.
It's easier to change products than people. So when you are investing in any initiative, look at the person.
You bet on the people.
Yeah, look at the person behind the product. Products can be changed, man.
Technology changes so
But
fast.
how hard is it for you to change? Or for me to change?
That's true.
Difficult.
Yeah.
Difficult. I'm not gonna change much. Maybe just a little. And certainly not by an external factor,
Yeah.
right? You telling me to do such and such, but changing me. No. So products are easier to change than people, so invest in the person.
Wow. That's deep.
So that's how I look at people now. Like in my relationships, and I have these conflicts all the time.
Yeah.
I'm like, you know what? This guy's, oh no, man, I don't know, but his product is damn good.
Mm-hmm.
And then I look at this other person and I'm like, his product sucks. Like, it's just not good. But you know what? This guy is there for the community. This guy is at those, functions where it's necessary to be at. He's at the fundraisers that are necessary. Damn, I'm going to invest in that guy.
But how do you still make that a smart business decision?
Because not everything is a profit-making opportunity. And not everything is a profit-making opportunity. And so you have a legitimate criticism by saying, hey, this is not, financially savvy. And it's legitimate. I'm not taking away from that.
Right.
But what I'm saying is we're trying to make institutions. We're trying to build,
In the long run.
enterprises, man.
Yeah.
Right? Because, man, look, we've lost money on so many relationships, but that was the cost to ascertain the metal of that person's character.
Mm.
That was the cost, right? I'm now conflicted. This guy has billed me for something that I thought was outrageous, and I'm thinking he's ripping me off. But I swear to God, I have 5 more products ready, very similar projects, right? So I'm sure if I go to my operations manager here, and I'm like, "What do you think we should do?" She's like, "Pay the best," right? And I'm like, "I'm gonna," right?
Right.
And she's like, "But now you know."
Yeah.
That's the cost of learning that this is not the person you need to deal with, right? I feel bad because he ripped me off.
Yeah.
Huge.
He should be feeling bad.
Yes. But, that's the cost, right? I've had this happen. And I just know that's the cost of doing business. Now I know not to deal with you.
But why wouldn't you go on reviews or word of mouth or things like that versus hiring them and finding out yourself?
It's kind of like why you don't hire people based on resumes.
Yeah, good point.
Right? Resume,
Oh, really? No.
use, right? So you know what they say, hiring is guessing, firing is knowing.
Oh yeah, that's good.
Yeah. Yeah, hiring is guessing. So bro, you know, all those personality tests and this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
Man,
That doesn't really.
listen, 90-day probationary period, we'll see what you're about. If you're about that life, we're going to increase you to such and such rate.
Yeah.
If you're not about it, and I'll tell you, so we hire approximately 2 to 4 people every quarter, right? Something like that, right? But we fire 70%. Like, so that's just how, so we have a net increase of 1 to 2, maybe 2 maximum every quarter.
That's actually a pretty good ratio for service businesses.
Yeah. So we just have to let a person go a couple of weeks ago,
Yeah.
right? And now what we're hiring for next month,
Yeah.
right? We're probably going to have to let go 2 or 3 of them
That's just the math.
to figure out who's the best, who's the cream of the crop, you know? Because we don't want, we want wow. We want those superstars. So, you know, we'll know, right? Once we get them in, once they start working on their assignments, once to see how they acclimate with our culture, we'll know. So that's just how it is. We do our best at the front end. It's not like we overlook, you know, processes, but hiring is guessing. Firing is knowing.
Firing is knowing. You actually gave them a test. They actually had an opportunity, and it's on your dime, but they had to commit the time. Parker, are you there? Parker hired 4 people in the last week.
Okay.
And we might have fired, you know, 70%, which is normal. What do you think about that? Does that resonate, what Ibrahim is saying?
It's, like you said, it's like hiring is guessing, firing is knowing. It's only so much you can do for vetting. You kind of have to get in the weeds, see what people can do. And if they can't do it, better just to cut ties, right? Because we have a saying, A players only, right? Working with dentists too. And if there's not up for it, it's better for everyone just to end things early. You know, it's like a bad relationship. Like if you have a bad girlfriend after like 2 weeks, you just want to end it. You don't want to keep it going for 2 years, you know?
Hire slow, fire fast. So about an hour
With
ago,
the hire slow, fire fast.
Yeah.
I hire fast and fire
fire
fast.
fast, even better. Yeah. Fire faster, fire faster.
You know, but I used to hire slow, and that just slowed me down big time. It took too much, you know? So I try to hire fast and fire fast.
So an hour ago, we just made a job post on Upwork.
Oh, yeah.
And Ibrahim literally made a brand new Upwork account. So we have history with Upwork, so we get featured more, but I was hoping maybe we could just take a look at his Upwork. Can we go over there and see what happened?
Let's see. I'm going to go to Upwork, log in. Let's see. Let's log in.
Brand new Upwork account. Made the job post in how long?
Yeah.
Oh, if no one's applied yet.
Let's see. Overview.
Okay.
Maybe let me hit it.
Let's see if anyone has.
No, not yet. Maybe it's because I'm brand new.
Yeah, it must be because it's brand new, but we paid the $29 or whatever to have it featured, but
Renew this post and boost your job's visibility.
no, you've already boosted. You have to wait like 2 weeks before or something like that.
Okay. All right.
Well, we wrote like how long did
20 minutes old. Oh, to write it?
Yeah, how many minutes did it take to put the thing up?
5 minutes.
5 minutes to write up a job post, to hire a VA to convert his ClickFunnels site to a WordPress site. And this is for Awad Academy, which is training. Like he spent a lot of money producing
I really
fancy video, all the rest of that.
super fancy. Yeah.
And here's something that you might not think about: the reuse of assets, you know, repurposing, like other ways you can get value out of existing assets, which is good for lazy people like me. So he created this Awad Academy to help other attorneys in every aspect of running a PI firm. And obviously you could sell that as a course, as a mastermind, or other stuff to other attorneys, but how can he use that knowledge and training and all that stuff he's already created to help him get more personal injury clients in Atlanta? Think about this. And you could put it into ChatGPT and have it suggest it too. But listen to this. The fact that he's trusted by so many other attorneys, he's spoken on these different stages. He's got the track record where he's got these amazing case studies where other attorneys are asking him, how did you do that? What's the process? How do you run your intake? How do you, get your case managers and settle quickly with the insurance? Like you did a whole presentation on like, how do you negotiate with the insurance companies and get the maximum payout every time?
Yeah.
Based on the policy limits and this kind of stuff, right?
Yes.
And I remember watching you give that presentation. I thought, I'm not a personal injury attorney, but I find that applicable to just like, we were watching Chris Voss and the FBI negotiator guy, right? Like,
And I use his examples.
yeah, it's so
his
good.
techniques.
So the fact that he trains all these other personal injury attorneys, it's got all the proof of him training, speaking on stage and whatnot. Someone who's in Atlanta who just got a car crash, and they're deciding, they go to Google and they type in Marietta, Georgia, car accident attorney near me or something like that, right?
Yeah.
And they see a list of all these attorneys. They all look the same,
Yes.
right? Like,
Yes.
are they going to look at like where you got your law
Nope.
degree or
Nope.
where they look at the reviews? If they know that this is the guy that the other attorneys are learning from, that's the one I want, right? And if we embed those pieces in the rest of the marketing, put it on his personal brand website, include it on the Awad Law Firm website and all this other stuff, that's a ton of repurposing from that angle.
Yes.
And just like, okay, all the stuff on how does he negotiate with the insurance company?
Yeah.
Just like with Chris Voss, that's useful. And when you have to deal with, Verizon who overcharged you, or do a business deal with, someone and try to, get the contract right and communicate and make sure, for example, one of his guys was showing me how they built a process for if one of the case managers hasn't talked to a client in 21 days,
Correct.
then the system notes it, and that person has to, make sure hey, just wanted to update you. Here's what's going on with the case, or nothing's happened, but just wanted to update you anyway.
Yes.
And well, that whole way of communicating and building triggers and processes, that's applicable to all of us too. I'm thinking, well, how do we do that? Can we use ChatGPT to build something like that for us? Yes, we can. Yeah. So even though he's in a different industry, or he's like, all of us are doing things in different industries, aren't there a ton of commonalities?
100%.
Right? It's crazy because it's all people businesses, it's all service-based businesses, and it's all like managing the flow of onboarding, gifting, taking care of them, saying thank you, remembering their birthdays. Isn't it crazy? Like it's actually all the same thing.
It's all the same thing. One thing that I stress heavily at the firm is communication, right?
Yeah.
And I tell people all the time, an update of no update is better than no update. An update of no update is better than no update.
Yeah.
Right? Just tell the people, and this is my key word, we have not forgotten about you. Right? I told because guess what the client's thinking? Bro, these guys probably forgot about you.
Yeah. It's been 3 weeks.
No,
I haven't
no.
heard anything. They're
Yeah.
probably just taking my money.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I tell, hey, 21 days, tell the client there's nothing substantive going on with your case. We are in the middle of doing such and such. We will let you know. We assure you we have not forgotten about you. And they're like, thank you so much.
And how long does it take to write that update?
Seconds.
Yeah. And it means
In
everything.
fact, I made it a template.
So you take it even further.
In text
Yeah,
request.
That's great.
Right? So we have text requests that, just boom, you can do the template.
Yeah.
But
You want to show something?
yeah, so this is something that was pretty cool. So I really stole this idea from you, honestly.
Oh, that's awesome.
Because you mentioned that what people really want to see is how you do what you do, not just that you did it.
Yeah.
Right? How did you do it?
Yeah.
Right? And so I took that and I'm like, wow, I have a case study where this individual was in a car wreck and they offered her $1,000, right? And $1,000, $1,000, pretty good deal, right? $1,000, here you go, $1,000. Yeah.
Yeah.
She went to the doctor. She didn't have a lot of medical bills, just $12,000 worth of medical bills, right? But she had something interesting called posterior vitreous detachment of her eye.
That's not bad.
Yeah, so she had, it's blurred vision, but floaters in her eye, right? And it happens intermittently, right? It's not all the time thing, but it happens, right? So what we did was, I don't know if we could send the link, but long story short, this.
Well, how do we Google it? Everything's got to be Googleable, right?
Yeah, so it's how I took a case from $1,000 to $250,000.
So I would just search a law firm, a WAD law firm,
Yeah,
1,000 to 250,000. It should show up on Google.
exactly.
Yeah.
Right? And so this video, okay, is not just, oh, my lawyer did great stuff.
Yeah.
Right? This video actually has the recorded call from the adjuster. Right?
Okay.
Right? And so I want to play part of the call, right?
Likelihood that it's going to affect the other eye.
On the phone with Progressive.
Yeah.
Somebody was supposed to be able to get ready and recall after the event. And for the next 2 hours, you're going to appreciate the draft where the vitreous jelly going to pull away from the retinal lining up your eye. I would have paid.
Her query.
Look up for jury, big four. And I'm going to say, this is what was done. This is what was done. And Progressive is here asking for $12,000. But this is enough for the harm that their insured caused. $12,000. There's not, you can hold a team show of $100 bills, and I'm going to let you do it.
So basically, if you didn't hear the audio is the progressive adjuster says, in what world do you think $250,000 is fair? Now, the only reason I asked for $250,000 is that's the policy, right? That's the amount. Like, there's no more than that on the policy. And she says, in what world do you think $250,000 is fair? And I say to her, you cannot fill a steamship full of $100 bills to compromise my eyesight.
Would you be willing to go blind for $250,000?
Hell no. Not to go blind. I'm just saying compromise it.
Yeah.
Right? And so that's the call,
Yeah.
right? And then following the call, and we don't have to play it, but I'll just show you screenshots, right? So we actually include the document that we send to the insurance company, right? Of us arguing with them, right? So it says, in our conversation, Progressive conjured 3 positions, right? The first one is that it was all a coincidence. The visual disturbances occurred 2 days after the crash were just coincidental, and the wreck did not in any way contribute to the retinal detachment. Progressive's second position is that she had problems with her eyesight before the crash, since this retinal detachment occurs with normal aging. That's what they're saying, is that it just happens, right? But never went to the eye doctor and instead waited to be struck by a reckless driver in order to pin the retinal detachment on an innocent party. Like, that's their position, right? And thirdly,
I would never want to go up against the that's the opposing party.
yeah, Progressive's third position is that even if the retinal detachment was caused by our insured, it's really not that bad. And $10,000 is reasonable to reimburse a person who was never asked whether they would want any money for their eyesight to be damaged. Right?
Yeah.
And so we're actually showing the public
Yeah.
our method.
It makes them look bad.
Our method of negotiations, right? It's all in writing. It's all there. We're showing them the actual document, right? We're telling them exactly what happened. And then pre-lawsuit, okay, they actually send us a check for $250,000, right?
Yeah.
Based on that one document, right? So it's not just saying to people, whoa, look at us. We got, no, this is the document. Here's the text on how we outlined our position and their position and what made them cave.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Ibrahim, I've got some content from recorded calls as well.
Yeah.
As an attorney, what is the thought behind allowing to share calls on both sides and without them noting that it's being recorded, and just kind of like what are any concerns there, or what is the law there?
Yeah. What state are you in?
I'm in California.
You're in California. So let's go ask ChatGPT if you're in a one-party consent state or not. Hold on. Is California a one-party consent state for recording calls? Now, I'm in Georgia. Georgia is a one-party consent state, which means that if I'm a participant to the conversation, I can record with or without the other person's permission, right? In California,
I'm guessing it's not.
California is not a one-party consent state for recording. It's a two. It doesn't mean game over. It doesn't mean game over. All you need to say, just want to make sure that you are aware that this call is being recorded for quality and training purposes.
But what if the Zoom already says that in the beginning and it's a click?
Oh yeah, because they have to accept it, right?
Does that count?
Yes, it counts. You're good. They're consenting.
For phone calls, I mean, for phone calls though, it would have to be.
So you know, 4 or 5 years ago when we started recording all of our calls, we were concerned about this issue. And so we wanted to make sure that all of our calls that come to our law firm, this call is being recorded for quality and training purposes, right? Because we were still concerned, even though Georgia is a one-party consent state, let's say that you're calling from California. Is there like now a conflict of state law, right? So then it gets really tricky. Who originated the call, right? And so if a person from California calls into Georgia, they'll say it's okay. He's the one that initiated the call. He's bound by Georgia law. But if I then call a person in Texas, right, then I have to be very careful, right? So yeah, great question. Great question. Obviously, legitimate concern. Just to save any and all ambiguity and to preclude any issue, you just say this call is being recorded. Boom, you're done.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Nice. Isn't he awesome? We can, like, just imagine like the level of detail that he goes into putting this stuff together for this girl and her retinal detachment, and because the insurance company only offered her 1,000.
1,000.
Yeah. But if she wouldn't know any better, she's like, okay, well, that's the best I can do. Like, that's what they gave. Like, take it or leave it. I'd rather have 1,000 than 0, right?
Well, let me show. So, I already shared this with you, but like for the attendees that are watching this, so check this out. This is an offer that we got from an insurance company here. This is Allstate. Allstate offered $4,500. Okay, $4,500. Okay, we file suit, right? This is 3 days before trial. Let's see if we
And
can.
getting closer to, yeah. No. Just tell them the number. Oh, there it is.
Can't see it. Oh, yeah. It's
All right, that's 3 days before trial. Okay, 85,000. That's the verdict.
holy moly.
Yeah.
I like them apples.
So you see, like, it's unbelievable how bad these insurance companies are. Like, maybe a person that doesn't know 4,500 and then they offer 20,000, and maybe a lawyer can go in and say, look how well I did, right? I got them 5 times more than what they offered, right? 4,000 times 5, 10,000. Okay,
5
that's pretty good. That's then think 85,000. I would assume most lawyers would accept 85,000 from 4,500. Do you really have something back to say about me if I accepted 85,000? But I'm looking at this woman, and this woman is 3rd generation service member of the military. She comes from a military family. Her father was in the military. Her grandparents were in the military, married to a gentleman who was also in the. I'm like, wow, this is a very noble family, right? And then having this neck injury and back injury, like, the jury wants to hear this. They need to hear this. And then we connected with them, right? And we had one of the jurors start crying in my closing argument. Come to find out she was an alternate, not an actual juror that deliberated. I was like, man, if she was actually part of the jury, it would have been $1 billion, But they gave us $900,000, and nobody believed that could be done. And I just kept saying, even my wife, right? My wife, I did my closing argument like a week before trial. And she's like, I love you, but like, I don't see how the jury is going to give you that much money, right? Like, and I think you're being unreasonable. And I think that you need to probably tone it down a little bit, right? And then I got it. And then I have a photo of my wife with my sister-in-law, of my wife receiving the text message from me of the verdict, right? And my sister-in-law took a picture of my wife crying.
Wow.
And when I got home, she gave me a hug and said, thank you for being unreasonable. Thank you for being unreasonable. But I loved this lady. I connected with her. And my wife didn't love her the way I loved her because she's not with her. She's not spending time with her.
Yeah.
But like, when you really care about someone, like, that goes back to Jerry Spence, and he's a legendary trial lawyer, right? He's like, and they ask him, like, how do you get these phenomenal results? And he said, I imagine myself wearing that orange jumpsuit and being shackled at my hands to my waist and my feet together. And I'm thinking to myself how much I would hate being in that position. There's no way I'm going to lose, right? Like, to truly role reverse with your client and be in that position. you know? And yes, that requires a lot of vulnerability. Yes, that requires a lot of effort, but like, as we said, there's no such thing as professional detachment. You gotta be attached, man. You gotta care about these people. And yes, you are gonna have to look like a fool sometimes and see you later, Carly, and feel like you're being unreasonable. Like, that's it. Like, when people say, Ibrahim, you're unreasonable, I'm like, yes, now I'm on the right track.
Yeah.
Now I'm on the right track. If I don't get the haters, I'm like, man, I'm not doing something right. Because from my point of view, bro, the prophets had haters.
Yeah.
If the prophets, those chosen by God to be his ambassadors on earth, had haters, and I don't have haters, something's wrong.
Doing something wrong.
So, you know, so you take that and channel it into empathy and caring and hopefully doing something inspiring so that and guess what? The person that is most impacted is you. You know, because it's all giving, and giving is living. The more you give, the more you live.
There's one thing that Ibrahim didn't tell you.
Hmm.
And the reason they got that settlement right away is that he said to Allstate, if you take, you pay this judgment out and don't like appeal it and appeal it forever for years, he'll take no fee. So he took no fee on that, just so this lady could get that full settlement. Because normally attorneys take like a third or 40% or something like that.
So yeah, we had attorney's fees on top of that, right? So we could have strategized and said kept the case going for a year and a half,
Yeah.
right? And potentially got approximately $400K.
Yeah.
Right. And so I told him, listen, I will waive my attorney's fees, right, if you pay the $900,208. But you have to put it on the record. Right? The lady goes and calls the adjuster. It was a whole drama. She comes back crying. She says, I can't get in touch with the adjuster right now, And the judge says, well, I can't dismiss the jury unless I know, because the jury gets to decide whether or not Allstate acted in bad faith. Oh, it was phenomenal. And so he says, how much time do you need? Because we need to know today. And she says, I don't know, Judge, but I'm going to do my best. He says, I need to know by 6 o'clock today.
The judge said that.
Yeah, look,
Wow.
6 o'clock, right? And so 6 o'clock, you need an answer, right? And so, do you see that?
Yep, 5:59.
5:59 p.m. She says, good evening all. First, I would like to thank everyone for your graciousness this afternoon. Second, I have just received authority to pay the verdict in exchange for Mr. Awad abandoning any claims he may have to fees. I assume that means we do not need to report in the morning, but I will await the court instructions. It was truly a pleasure trying this matter with you all. That means the verdict will be paid.
That's amazing.
We came back.
They're smiling. The clients are very smiling.
Now, I don't want to misrepresent anything. We still got a fee, but from the 900,000.
Right.
Okay. But
Instead of the stuff on top.
But it
Yeah.
could have been on top, right? It could have been more.
Right.
So yes, everybody got paid. Everybody was happy. Alhamdulillah. Thank the Lord. Everything was good. But going back to the very beginning, many attorneys would have accepted 100 grand, 200 grand, but 900,000, that was a big deal. Alhamdulillah, it was reported, and we were able to put a conference together, and we were able to share Chris Voss's techniques on using the F word in negotiations. Yes, that's powerful stuff, right?
Yeah.
You want to own the ground of fairness
Yeah.
in the negotiation, right? So when you're negotiating, you want to make sure you use the F word first, right? So when you talk to somebody, just have this as a arrow in your quiver. You say, I just want you to treat me fairly. Nobody's gonna respond to that negatively. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna disagree what fairness means in that situation, but make sure you use it first, because that has a lot of power.
Yeah. And like Chris Voss says, I just want to make sure everything is fair. And if at any point you feel that I'm not being fair, you let me know.
It's beautiful. Yeah.
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 Isn't that crazy? Everything, it's the passion that he has. If you look at other service professionals, it could be like roofers or attorneys or real estate, or how many of them actually show this kind of passion and this kind of care about their clients? I would think, correct me if I'm wrong, the fact that you have this kind of passion, and your wife, or you're like, I saw you tear up a little earlier, the fact you have this kind of care potential clients, they look at that. They don't really know like who's a better attorney and like who knows the law better, but they choose based on who seems to really care more and who they identify with and who they have trust with and who treated them well and sent them the nice mug. And like they look at those factors instead of like, is this surgeon actually good at surgery? I don't really know, right? I mean, they look nice, but how do I know?
They absolutely feel that. And how I know is because that's how I decide.
And all your referrals come because of that.
That's how I decide, Dennis. Isn't that how you decide?
It is.
You know, and so the beautiful thing is, we look at the world very similarly. We look from a perspective of abundance, right?
Yeah.
And I truly believe what has been written for me, I will receive, right? Now, that doesn't mean to belittle or dilute my work. No, I gotta put in an astronomical amount of work. But what you get has been written for you. What I get has been written for me. Like the idea of us competing against one another is an illogical one based on my conviction that my sustenance is not due to my cleverness. It's due to the grace of the Creator.
Yeah.
Right? And so it's illogical, right? It's illogical to even judge you because I don't know what your advantages and disadvantages are because that's so different than mine.
Yeah.
Right? And so we should just compete in doing good.
I love it. Compete in doing good.
That's it. Right?
Yeah.
I should be less concerned with my Bank of America and more concerned with my Bank of Good Deeds.
Bank of good deeds.
That's it. I love it. So that's the reality, and it will resonate with other people, and it's a ripple effect that it'll always come back to you.
Yeah, that's amazing, Ibrahim. I'd love to hear, Sinead, what do you think about this? Or Alex, or Parker, or Maria, what have you guys learned?
You need to come to Ireland, Ibrahim, and give a little taste of this to the Irish legal.
I love Ireland. I'm Palestinian, so the Palestinians have a lot of love for the Irish.
Yes, yeah. There would be a strong affinity. I didn't know what your nationality was, but I'll tell you, like really, I could sit here for hours listening to you, and that's like amazing what you're doing, and I have definitely plenty of notes taken here, to do stuff myself. Well done.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, and I agree with you fully about the abundance. Yeah, the gratitude and actually it's amazing. Like, once you just are open to it, we can be blocked. And it's to be open and let go and do the stuff, and then you'll reap the rewards. And the world needs more good for sure. The world needs more good.
It's coming. And listen, it's coming. And if you don't see it, perhaps your kids see it. And if your kids don't see it, perhaps your grandchildren see it. Right? It will come. It may be you just don't know how. Right? Like doing good is the price we pay as a premium for our insurance to protect our family, right? That the cost of right, is just doing good, right? There are stories in the Quran that talk about this, where a person, had passed away, but then God sends a prophet to his children's home so that they can re-erect a wall because it was on the verge of collapse. And the reason they re-erected this wall is because there was treasure, right, hidden beneath the wall. And they didn't want village people to find the treasure and steal it from the family, right? And so they re-erected this wall so that when the children grew up and became more mature and older and were able to protect themselves, they would discover this treasure and then they would find it. But the whole moral of the story is all of this happened because their father was a righteous person.
Yes.
He was a righteous person.
Yeah.
This is like the insurance policy that you have from the Creator that never expires, that never will be denied coverage, right? You want to push, right? Like that's the price,
Yeah.
And so, just knowing that it will come back, it's enough. And take away from that reality that we don't do it for other people, right? You know, people can be good, people can be neutral, and people can be bad. That's not the reason you do it. The reason we do it is because we're doing it because we are deserving of good.
Yes.
Deserve the good. We deserve of being good.
Yes. Absolutely.
And
No.
alhamdulillah, which means God is good.
Yeah, praise be to God.
Well done. Well done. Fantastic. Thanks so much, Dennis, as well.
All right. Well, maybe one last comment. If Parker, you want to say something, and then I got to jet to the airport. Yeah. I got to be at the airport in an hour, which will be just enough time, man.
Great story. I think you're so right about just being helpful to other people and just giving it forward. I mean, I think that's what we're trying to do, but hearing that explained in so many different ways is really helpful. So thank you for that.
Well, good. Well, help us repurpose these wisdom nuggets into snippets and articles and all that, honoring the time we spent together. Obviously, recorded all this so that smart people and the AI can refine it into, because no one's going to want to sit through hours and hours of Zoom calls and things like that, right? Just pull out the nuggets, right?